Most people think their biggest problems are outside of them, but the real struggle is usually inside. It is the part of you that avoids discomfort, the part that chooses familiar pain over unfamiliar growth. And the dangerous thing is, it does not feel like destruction, it feels like comfort. That is why people stay in habits that hurt them. That is why they delay important work. That is why they return to situations they already know are wrong. Not because they are weak, but because the mind prefers what is predictable. Now pause for a moment. Think about that one goal you started and quietly stopped working on. Was it really because of lack of time, or because moving forward would have forced you to change? Self-sabotage is not laziness. It is fear wearing a friendly mask. And until you recognize it, you will keep repeating the same cycle with different excuses. Growth does not start when life becomes easy. It starts when you stop protecting the habits that are keeping you small. The mind will always offer comfort, but your future requires courage. And the moment you choose growth over safety, everything begins to shift. If change feels uncomfortable, that is not a weakness, it is biology. Your mind is designed to protect you, not to transform you. And protection usually means staying with what is familiar, even when familiar is painful. That is why people return to old habits, old routines, old patterns they already know will not work, not because they want to suffer, but because suffering they recognize feels safer than uncertainty they do not. Now think about this. Every time you delay starting, every time you wait to feel ready, your mind is choosing safety over progress. And it feels logical, it feels responsible, but slowly it becomes a trap. Growth always feels like loss first. Loss of comfort, loss of old identity, loss of excuses. But on the other side of that discomfort is the version of you that no longer feels stuck. Your mind will beg you to stay the same, but your future depends on whether you listen or move anyway. And that choice is happening right now. Most people are not afraid of failing, they are afraid of what success would demand from them. Because success removes excuses, it raises expectations, and it forces responsibility. As long as you are struggling, you can say, I'm still learning. But when you start improving, you are expected to show up consistently. So the mind creates delays, distractions, perfect plans that never begin, not to stop you, but to protect the identity you are comfortable with. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Becoming better means leaving behind a version of yourself that once felt safe. And the mind does not like losing familiar identities, so you wait, you prepare, you tell yourself soon. But deep down, you know the reason. You are not waiting for the right time. You are waiting to feel safe. And growth never feels safe. It feels uncertain. It feels exposed. It feels risky. But that risk is not danger. It is transition. And until you accept that discomfort, your potential will remain trapped inside your hesitation. Move before you feel ready, because readiness comes after action, not before it. You don't lack time, you lose it to distraction. Every free moment gets filled, scrolling, watching, consuming, not because you enjoy it, but because silence feels uncomfortable. Distraction is not just entertainment, it is escape. Escape from difficult thoughts, from uncomfortable decisions, from the work that would actually change your life. So the mind chooses what is easy, and easy becomes a habit. Hours disappear, days pass, and goals quietly fade, not because you didn't want them, but because you never gave them attention. Here is the truth most people avoid. What you pay attention to is what you build your life around. If your focus is always scattered, your progress will be too. And the more you avoid discomfort, the harder it becomes to face it later. Distraction feels harmless in the moment, but over time, it becomes a lifestyle. And a distracted life never reaches its potential. Silence is not empty. It is where clarity lives. And clarity is where change begins. Turn down the noise. Face what you have been avoiding, because your future needs more focus than your past ever did. Growth does not begin when you add something new. It begins when you release what no longer fits. The habits that once protected you, the mindset that once helped you survive, The identity that once felt safe, that version of you did its job, but it cannot take you where you want to go next. And this is where most people struggle, because letting go feels like losing yourself. It feels like betraying who you used to be. So you try to change your life without changing your behavior. You try to move forward while holding on to old patterns. It does not work. You cannot build a new future with the same emotional rules that were created to survive the past. And yes, growth can feel lonely, because not everyone recognizes the new you. Not everyone is comfortable with your change. But outgrowing people and habits is not failure. It is alignment. You are not becoming someone else. You are becoming more yourself. And the moment you stop protecting the old version of you, you finally create space for the life you were meant to build. Let go, not because the past was bad, but because the future needs room. No one warns you about this part of growth. It can feel isolating. When you start changing, old conversations stop feeling meaningful. Old routines stop feeling comfortable. Old environments start feeling heavy. And suddenly you feel like you don't belong where you used to. Not because something is wrong with you, but because you are evolving. Growth separates you from habits before. It connects you to new possibilities. So there is a phase where it feels quiet, where you walk alone, where you question if it is worth it. And this is where most people go back, not because the old life was better, but because it was familiar. But loneliness is not always loss. Sometimes it is space. Space to hear yourself. Space to rebuild your priorities. Space to become intentional. Not everyone is meant to walk every stage with you. Some people are part of the chapter, not the whole story. And that does not mean you failed. It means you are moving forward. Do not return to who you were, just because who you are becoming feels unfamiliar. Stay with the discomfort. It is shaping you. And on the other side of it, you will find clarity, confidence, and a life that finally feels aligned. Motivation feels powerful, but it is temporary. It shows up when you feel inspired and disappears when effort is required. That is why so many people start strong and quit quietly. Real change does not begin with excitement. It begins with commitment. Discipline is not about being harsh. It is about keeping promises to yourself, even when no one is watching. On the days you feel tired, on the days you feel unsure, on the days you want to delay, those days shape your future more than good days ever will. Your mind will always offer comfort. Your future demands consistency. And here is the truth most people avoid. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. Small actions repeated daily will beat big plans repeated never. Stop waiting to feel ready. Build routines. Build standards. Because once discipline becomes part of who you are, progress is no longer accidental. It becomes inevitable. If your life never feels uncomfortable, it is probably not changing. Every upgrade comes with resistance. Every new level demands effort. And every meaningful goal requires you to do things you would rather avoid. That tension you feel before starting something difficult, that is not fear trying to stop you. That is growth, asking for permission. But most people read discomfort as danger. So they retreat, they delay, they distract themselves. And then they wonder why nothing improves. Comfort feels safe, but it also keeps your limits exactly where they are. Discomfort expands them. It teaches your mind that you can handle more than you thought you could. Progress is not supposed to feel easy. It is supposed to feel challenging, because challenge is how capacity increases. So when something feels hard, do not immediately avoid it. Ask yourself, is this painful? Or is this just unfamiliar? Because unfamiliar today becomes normal tomorrow. And the people who grow are not the ones who feel fearless. They are the ones who move while feeling uncomfortable. Stay with the discomfort. It is not here to break you. It is here to build you. You don't act based on what you want. You act based on who you believe you are. If you see yourself as someone who quits, you will quit. If you see yourself as someone who struggles, you will stay stuck. Habits do not fail first. Beliefs do. You don't avoid effort because you are lazy. You avoid it because your self-image does not match the future you want. So you try to change behavior without changing identity. It works for a few days, then the old pattern returns, because the mind always pulls you back to what feels familiar. Real change starts when you ask a better question. Not what should I do, but who am I becoming? Then you act like that person, even when it feels unnatural. Each small action becomes proof. Proof that rewrites your self-image. You are not stuck because you lack willpower. You are stuck because you are still loyal to an old version of yourself. And the moment you stop protecting that version, your habits begin to change naturally, change who you believe you are, and your actions will follow. That is how real transformation begins. Somewhere ahead in your life, there is a version of you that is grateful you did not quit, grateful that you kept going when it was uncomfortable, grateful that you chose discipline over delay, grateful that you stopped running from growth. That future is not built by big moments, it is built by small decisions you repeat every day. The day you choose focus over distraction, the day you choose effort over excuses, the day you choose growth over comfort, that is when your life starts changing. You do not become confident first, then take action. You take action and confidence follows. You do not wait until fear disappears. You move while it is still there. Your future self is not asking for perfection, only consistency. So when you feel tired, remember what you are building. When you feel stuck, remember this is part of the process. You are not behind. You are in training. And if you keep showing up, one day you will realize you became the person you once needed to believe in. And that is how real change is made.